I'm Roland Cote, and you're listening to Life in General.
Where is the love? So sick of people crying. Where is the love? Love. So sick of people dying. Where is the love?
Here we are with episode 1. I'm Roland Cote, and my co-host,
Louise Cote Fletcher.
and our producer, Tristan Cote, behind the scenes. Once in a while, he'll pipe up, but he has to get close to the microphone for us to hear him. So, and we've done that strategically because his opinions are numerous. Just kidding. All of the
Like
people in
all
the
of us.
Cote family are very opinionated. So, what are we doing here? We're having a conversation, and I think we just talked about this off air before we were talking about doing this episode. We were just saying, life in general, what is this? What are we doing? Well, if we don't talk, we don't have conversation, then what are we? We're a society filled with people who are afraid of our own selves. We're afraid of our words. Mm-hmm. And words can hurt people. But my mom always used to say, sticks and stones can break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Well,
But they do.
It's not truthful.
No.
Actually, they do hurt me. Mm-hmm. But the purpose behind saying that, I believe, was that we need to toughen up sometimes, and we need to stop getting so afraid of what other people are saying. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's important to be mindful of what we are saying and take personal responsibility of our own words, but also know that if you're going to be truthful, you're going to say stuff that other people don't agree with, and some people are going to call you out and say, I'm offended. Mm-hmm. And
that's okay.
Exactly. But if we don't
As long
have
as it's
the conversation,
done in a healthy, respectful way.
but it may not be. And that's where we are. That's why
Yes.
we're having this conversation,
Yes.
because people do talk. They say things they mean. Some people say things they don't mean. And how it comes across is unknown. So
And
what brings us
sometimes
to this?
just based on human assumption,
Right.
gossip, and how, people have reacted to situations.
Well, that's a good point. Reaction. So what do you have control over? You have control over your own words.
Myself.
And you have control over your own thoughts, to a point. Sometimes our thoughts can invade our sense of
Reality.
and our sense of comfort. And then that kind of leads us to this first episode, right? The whole thing that brought us to this Life in General podcast is really just you wanting to talk about
Mental health.
In
particular. Not just my mental health, but mental health in general.
Right.
And just how important it is to reach out, to talk about it, to support. I think there's so much that we still need to learn and understand.
Yeah.
If people are really crazy, or are they just insightful? Have they gone to a different place for a bit of a time?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, you mentioned that off air. You said, "Am I crazy?" And I said, the answer is yes and no, but not just you, all of us.
Yes.
But what does that mean? Like, I'm not a doctor, so this is not clinical. This is just me
No.
using my left and right brain at the same time, which is very dangerous to do sometimes. You might get yourself into an accident. So better to drive a Tesla because it's self-driving in that case. You might get to your destination safely. But honestly, I think that's a healthy way to look at it, because then you can ground yourself and say that, well, maybe I am crazy at times. I display that
For
kind
sure.
of behavior. Clinically, yeah, probably yes, but also you can be sane at times too.
Yes. And so I want to specifically talk about a public breakdown that I had.
Okay. Yes, let's
So-
talk about public breakdowns.
So I was in a high stress situation, which, in all honesty, people many people are in stressful situations and way worse than I have ever
Yes,
been in.
but everybody has a different threshold, just like pain, that you can take. For example, I can't take needles without passing out,
Right.
and I'm not afraid to say it. It's kind of funny. I think it comes from my dad. I think
Yeah.
there's a psychological element.
Yes.
And most of my kids have similar fears of needles, and that's not why okay, we're not going to get into vaccination talk
No.
right now, but
No.
but needles
go there right now.
needles are scary to me. I'll
Yes.
just put it that way.
Yes.
And so you're
And that's
talking,
also anxiety based. So talking about mental health, I mean, let's be honest, a lot of our fears are based in anxiety. So I'm going to continue to finish what I started was I was in a place where I was under a lot of pressure and stress. I hadn't slept for 2 days, and I drove to work in the middle of the night.
Okay.
And I sat in the parking lot, and I was listening to a radio broadcast
Okay.
on Anthony
Bourdain.
Bourdain.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, his life as a chef, and how, really toxic it was, and the environment of working around and in restaurants and in kitchens, and how challenging it is, and how a lot of people who work in the industry deal with addiction and mental health. So
Well, it's an unhealthy industry because you're really overworking
that
yourself.
just kind of triggered something in me. I went into work. It was 4 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
And I wrote this email to my clients and my staff. And it was just out there because I really felt at that time that I was being under surveillance for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay.
But
You
I
thought
felt-
people were
I
watching
thought
you.
people were watching me. I thought all kinds of things was happening. And I've always been paranoid. I'm not going to lie about, I've always, which again is anxiety. So I've always been high awareness and always,
Alert and not
alert
totally
and-
trusting about.
yes, my environment
Yeah.
or people around, or what is your intention. And I don't know where that comes from, if it's innate or what it is, or if it's part of
Well, if
my
you don't mind me asking,
training,
because
like
we're
on observational behavior. But
right. Well, we're close. I'm your brother. I was there with you when you went through another traumatic time in your life.
Yes.
If you don't mind me saying. So I'm just wondering, like you just saying now, and I'm just kind of off the top of my head here thinking. Right? There could
Yes.
be other things that cause
yes, and it was
distrust.
It was in a high stressful situation as well. There was a lot of compounding things happening
Totally.
around that time.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, so definitely under high stress, people do have breakdowns.
Totally.
And so I did. I had a public breakdown, and then I put out this.
Right. And so when
this thing on
the you know what
Facebook.
hits the fan, right? People don't understand what it is you're saying.
No, it looks from the outside looking in. It's like, what the hell
What
is
just
going
happened?
on? So like, I'm on Facebook and I'm like, dear universe, blah blah blah, and I'm
Yeah.
saying this stuff about my husband because I really thought
Yeah.
people were listening in and paying attention to what everything was going on, which really is ludicrous when you think about it. But and so I thought they heard me yelling at him. And I thought, so I just put it out there. Like it's
Right.
just mumble,
Okay.
jumble, just stuff coming out of me.
Yeah.
And I think it was another cry in a sense for help.
Yeah.
Something's going on. I need help. I
Yeah.
think that's what was happening. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, the thing is, we're social beings as a human species. We need others. we cannot live by ourselves. I mean, what's that thing about it? If a baby is in the wild by themselves without any touch,
Yes,
like
that
they die.
nurture nature.
They can't survive. We are
Or-
meant to be in a pack. We're not meant to be lone wolves.
Right.
Some people prefer being alone, and that's fine. But they had a mother. Everybody had a mother at
Yeah.
some point, and they had nurturing, and they had love, and they had
In some form. You hope,
some-
anyways. Not everybody.
Well, you have to, because we did fostering early on with foster kids, right? And we had one kid, his name was Cody, if you remember him, and he was nonverbal until like I think was 4 years old.
Yeah.
And the worker told us that the reason behind that was because he didn't have a mom that was there to nurture him. And so she said, you have to rock him and bring him back to the baby stages. And we were like, wow, this is nuts. But
Yeah.
it made some sense to me, psychologically speaking.
Absolutely.
So we did it, and he started speaking.
Right. Because
And
he felt safe and secure in his environment.
right. So that speaks to what I'm saying about we're human species. We need love. We need to be around one another. So you're calling out to the universe, and the universe is us, your community, and maybe the greater
Yes
power.
and no. I mean, I do believe in speaking to the universe. I do it
Okay.
privately, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. But who's talking back on the other end? No, I'm not saying that. It's a joke, but it's also serious. Who is? And I don't mean that like crazy. But what I mean is, can the universe be a higher power?
I think it is. That's my
Is it a
belief.
community, or is it an individual, or it could be either? We don't know, because we're not there. But we talk about prayer. You and me, we talk about religion. We're not going to get that into that so much in this podcast.
No, next one, I guess.
But a higher
yeah,
power
I'm
is
more
important.
spiritual
Like
than
AA, right? Like you have to surrender to a higher power when you do Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yes,
And that's how
yes.
they get rid of, right? That's how to get rid of the addiction.
you have to surrender. You have to become humble. You have to ask for forgiveness. And
forgiveness is a big
that's
one.
one thing I have done daily since my breakdown. And
Yeah.
I mean, I was very confused and disoriented when this first happened, and I thought I was losing my mind.
Right. And you partly were, you said.
Oh, I definitely was. I mean, I found myself in my daughter's basement with pillows on the window.
Okay, that's pretty distressing.
And I had to reach out for help because I recognized that I can't do this by myself. I can't get out of this basement
Right.
by myself.
Right.
And so
Wow.
I ended up reaching for help and going into a hospital, which I'm not ashamed to talk about. Because I think it's important for us to be able to say, hey, like,
There's a light at the
I need help.
Yeah. Right.
And this is the only way that I'm going to get quality help.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have to say, thank you to all those people who did help me through the process. All my friends, my family, all the people that worked in the hospital, and all the people that helped me grow and helped me to become even a better person through this process.
Well, there can't be really anything harder than a loved one kind of putting an ultimatum, maybe not an ultimatum, but saying, like, this is how we think things are happening with you right now, and we love you, and we're concerned. I mean, that's kind of, I'm guessing, maybe some of the
Well,
conversations you had?
Some conversations,
Okay.
yeah, were around that. But I actually reached out myself to medical.
Okay,
like
okay.
Some people
Right.
who, in family who are in the medical
Industry, and they would know what
like
the
3
next steps
different
are.
people, and
Okay.
you know who you are. And thank you so much. So yeah, I ended up in the hospital, and then I was. I think that's what I needed was a shock to shock me out of this mindset that I was in.
Yeah.
And to be able to, I'm like, how did I get here?
Well, you talk about shock, like, when people are drowning physically,
Yeah.
they will take down their rescuer if the rescuer doesn't snap them out of it. And sometimes that actually requires a slap on the face, literally.
Yes.
That you're taught, right?
Yes.
And so that speaks to that psychology in a way where it's like I needed to be shocked
I did.
into reality.
I did.
And you talk about anxiety. Our family, my family,
Oh, yeah.
like my immediate family, not sisters, brothers, I'm talking about my own children.
Right.
There's anxiety in my family, and it's real, and it's debilitating at times.
It can be.
And you have to manage it, and sometimes you don't have the tools.
No.
And you need to reach out.
Yeah.
So that speaks to what you're saying there. So let's continue.
Yes, and I mean, humor is something that I do. I love to laugh, and I think it's really important to always try and find humor in those moments.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir.
I was brought to the hospital and I got out of the ambulance, I did say thank you to the driver and the woman who was in the ambulance with me. I just said, okay, so here I am on my next journey, because I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
And, I never ever thought I would be in a place like that. I've definitely spent time there.
Yeah.
As not a patient. But I didn't think that I would go there. And I did.
But the thing is, we're all there. All of us can be there. And that's the thing, right? That's what real humility is recognizing that I'm human.
And it's okay.
And I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's going to be way beyond my control.
For sure.
It's beautiful.
So then I realized that, in there, I really, really turned to meditation and breath work, and because that's what I had. And I went internal. And so this is where, you and I met that day. I went to your business.
Yeah.
You were closed, and
Yeah.
you pulled up the exact same time
At the same
I
time.
did.
Yeah. Like it was a coincidence, which I don't believe in.
Yes, no, it was definitely meant to be.
Yeah.
And we had this great conversation
Yeah.
over coffee.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows I love coffee.
Yep.
But over coffee, and it was that whole conversation about awakening.
Yeah, spirituality.
Spirituality, new birth, rebirth, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And so,
You feel like you had one of those types of experiences, a rebirth of sorts,
I did.
a rebirthing.
I did.
Which means, and in fact, we were at church today, and that was part of the message, was about shedding your old self and rebirthing your new self in the new identity that you have. Because your identity changes over time.
It does.
And like, I was just talking with Julie, my wife, about this earlier, and about how, like, when I was younger, I was in that rock band Pushing Daisies for almost 20 years. That was my identity. It was a big part of it. And I went through a bit of a midlife crisis when I realized it wasn't happening the way I thought it was going to happen. I thought there was going to be money and fame involved, and it was going that way. It should have gone that way if for the way the world should be, like in another dimension, that happens.
Right.
But I believe that it didn't happen for a reason. But I'm not going to talk too much about myself. It was just the idea that was my identity, and then I had to shed that identity to grow into something bigger and better, and less about myself. And I think that's what you were kind of describing.
Yeah. So I felt like there's so much more out there.
There's more to life than just the immediate circumstance.
Yeah, I just feel like meditation and going deep into myself has made me a better person, and I feel like I have a bigger understanding of the picture of the world and how it works, and where my lane's supposed to be, and it really.
It gives you perspective.
It does.
A different perspective than what you had previously, right? Because we're so busy. We live in, like, our Western culture is so busy. We're running here, running there, soccer for the kids, and you know, you grow up and now you got grandkids. I've got grandkids, and life is busy. There's always something going on, but sometimes we forget to just stop and breathe.
And, you know, I really thought that, you know, I don't have to, what happened, I don't have to explain anything to anyone, as I really have done nothing wrong. I have no guilt, and I feel comfortable in who I am.
Yeah.
And I truly do forgive those who believe that, you know, it was the right thing to do, whether they were following or, you know, whatever was happening.
Yeah,
that was real, based
Yeah.
in reality.
Yeah.
And I wish the best for each and every one of them. And I will always choose love and peace. And that's how I feel very strongly. I'll always choose love every
Yeah.
time.
Well, we were talking about love. We've been talking about that a lot. I talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
As you know, my posts on Facebook they're a lot about Jesus, and they're a lot about love, and I mean, Jesus was all about that. And love is I believe, the currency of heaven. And if you want heaven living on earth, kingdom living here, then you got to be filled with love. We talked about hatred earlier too, before we started recording, and like that could be maybe a topic we get into down the road. And people can perceive that you're hateful because you've said something that offends them, but that doesn't mean that you're necessarily hateful in your heart. So I think love is a good starting point. I think that's a really good perspective.
I know that's what helps me get up every day, is just in love. Knowing that I love, you know, deeply, and I love everyone. I really, truly feel like, you know, I mean, there are people who have done
You don't deserve
some-
as much of that, but that's the thing, right? Is that those people started off as babies once too,
Absolutely, they did.
and something shaped them into whatever feelings that they have towards other people, or what other ideology, whatever it is that's causing them to be hurtful.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the difficult part, is how do you get across to people like that? I don't know, but I think you're a really good example of love in my life, because first of all, I believe that women have this natural nurturing ability, and their emotional intelligence is heightened over that of men. I believe that because look at a woman's ability to be a mom. That's something that just, I don't even know, like I could never understand how to do that, because it's just not my thing.
But you are nurturing as well.
I am, but like just in my own personal experiences with our 5 kids and now our 2 grandkids, I just see my daughter Angelique and how she is with the kids, and it's different than how her husband Travis is. He's a little more like a man. He's rougher around the edges,
Yeah.
and not all men are exactly the same. But
No.
but you know, it's interesting to see how that love and that nurturing. There's something that you're teaching through being that. And I'm talking about you specifically. You
it's-
taught me, in many ways, how to love unconditionally.
Right.
And my mom's like that.
Yeah.
Your mom. Our mom. We always do
Yes.
that, my mom. But it's actually our mom.
I
and
know.
our mom's mom, Nana,
Yes.
she was a great example
Of unconditional.
unconditional
And so was her
love.
husband.
So was her husband. Are you talking about,
Prepare.
yeah, what was his first name again? Well, it's escaping me. That's how far back we go.
I know.
But yeah,
This is where we both.
he was. I didn't know him because he died before. Before I was born.
Yeah, he died before I did as well. But I only
Yeah.
know from letters that I
Okay.
found in the
Okay.
wall when we were renovating Nana's
I must have been too
place.
young to listen to the conversation.
Yeah, there were these beautiful letters from friends of hers that talked about him, and just how, you know, he would spend time at the hospital. He'd go and he'd ask at the front desk whoever didn't have anyone visit, he
Yeah.
would go and visit.
Eustache,
Eustache.
that's his name.
That's it.
Labossière.
Yeah, that was it. Yes, but yeah, that was my journey into kind of the awakening, I guess, or coming back to reality. I realized that some things are based in reality and other things I thought were happening were not.
Okay, so there's
And
two.
that-
There's two elements here. One, some things that were reality, and others that weren't, and coming
Right.
to terms with those.
And human nature is based on curiosity and inquiring minds want
Right.
to know. Like
Sure.
people just want to know,
Yeah.
why did she pull herself off Facebook or pull her last name? Why
Yeah.
did she post this thing, Dear Universe? Why was she acting strangely? Well,
Yeah.
because I was losing my mind, guys.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of
Like,
right. Like I think certain people are like myself, very busy, and life is not boring at all for me. It's going at 1,000 miles a minute, and I don't have two thoughts about most people, in the sense that, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I
Right.
just mean like I'm too busy to overthink and question.
Right.
But there are those who
spend
a lot of time thinking about other people.
observing other people,
Yep.
their neighbors, and their, and watching to see like what is happening, why, and I mean, yeah, like our home
Yeah.
could look like, if people watched. I mean, my old neighbor that lived beside, who's a really good friend of mine now, was like, we always wondered what was going on at your place.
Oh, yeah, well,
because
that's what all the
cabs
neighbors
are
think
coming and
over
going,
here.
and it was
Yeah.
like seemed like chaos. These young girls coming, and
Oh, yeah.
this man who my husband is Caribbean, and and my children are Caucasian. So like what is happening in that house? There's
Lots of
music.
Stuff going on.
Drums banging.
Well, you and me relate
screamo
probably quite a
music
bit that way, because
coming
my
from the
family's like that.
basement. What is going on there?
Yeah.
And it was funny because I interviewed her for a position, and she was like, I said, "You're my neighbor." And we laughed because we had lived beside each other for many, probably a good 4 or 5 years, and had never actually met each other.
Right.
And so when we had this encounter, it was quite interesting, her perception and perspective on my life. And it's like, I don't look at life like that. Like, I
Right.
don't pay attention to what
Yeah.
other people are doing unless I feel like I need to, unless
Yeah.
my guard's up and there's something
Right.
going on and I need to pay attention.
Yeah.
But normally I don't. I mean, your life is your life. It's none of my business. Who am
Right.
I to place judgment or to,
Right.
like really.
That's like a live and let live philosophy.
It is to
in
a
some
certain
ways.
degree. I do share stories or knowledge or whatever
Hmm.
with people when I have their attention.
Yeah.
To, to just to let them know that we are equal on a
Yep.
lot of grounds.
Sure.
Like, yes, what you're going through is similar to what
Yeah.
but I've learned over the years that it is important to be more of a listener.
Listening
that's-
is a hard thing to do, actually.
It
For
is.
for people who like to talk a lot, like myself.
Yes.
It's hard to do.
Yes,
My dad was a good listener,
he was a very good
because
listener.
Mom she'd be conflicted, and Dad'd say, "What's up?" And he'd make a cup of coffee and
Yes.
or tea or whatever, and sit down. Now talk.
Yes.
And so
I
that's
remember
important.
that.
I think those, relationships need that. And men forget, because men, you have to realize that men are always trying to fix the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
We always try to fix, what's wrong? And right away, we want to fix it. Well, it's not like a hammer and a nail. You can't just hammer it in and it's done. It's
it's
fixed.
done. Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
No.
We're coming up on 1 minute left in the episode here, so we're going to wrap this up. But we're talking about life in general, and give us your last thoughts.
well, in speaking in that, I also think women like to try to control situations as well. And I mean, you know, and that's, you know, where you try to control the outcome, or you try to control certain, and you have to learn to let go of that, because in all honesty, we're not really in control. What are we in
Right.
control of?
Right.
I mean, yeah, money talks. Yeah, you know, I mean, power, sure. But in the end, when we leave and our consciousness moves on, our
What-
energy continues on,
Right.
we don't have control.
So we're bringing it back to love at the end of this episode. You've been listening to Life in General. Thank you, Tristan, for producing. Thank you, Louise, for being here today. And thank you to the universe.
Thank you.
Find some peace.